Hello, today I'm going to talk about discrimination against minorities in Bulgaria and its consequences. First, let me explain the meaning of the term discrimination. Discrimination represents the unjust treatment of people based on prejudice towards the categories that they belong to. Such categories can be ethnicity, age, gender, sexual orientation, race, religion, and pretty much anything else that can separate people in different categories. This practice is morally wrong as it implies hate based on irrelevant grounds and harms people's citizen rights, relationships, and way of life. As strange as this may sound, the practice of discrimination is not always unfair or based on irrelevant grounds. In some particular cases, discrimination should be applied for the good of the whole society. Take for example one 80-year-old pilot of a plane. The common sense tells us that he shouldn't really operate one if he's overaged. His reaction time is always going to be slower in comparison to a younger 40-year-old pilot, for example. And reaction time is very important for the profession as the working conditions can change drastically, and a second can be the difference between life and death. Another example is a doctor without a medical degree. No one would let such a person operate on a human being. The reason why discrimination should be applied in these cases is that the pilot and the doctor represent a potential threat to other people. Of course, they might be an exception. They might be able to do their job properly, but the chance that they will cause harm to others is too big for that to matter. Even though Bulgaria has been a part of the European Union since 2007, its policy on discriminatory practices, unfortunately, is not very progressive. This gives many opportunities for aggressors to harass most of the Bulgarian minorities for many and inherently different reasons. Such reason can be the historical prerequisite. Bulgaria has been in a conflict with each of its neighboring countries, and in a way with some of them it is to the present day. Examples for this are Greece, Serbia, and Turkey. The citizens of these countries that visit Bulgaria very often become victims of violence by nationalist fanatics who are against their country's politics towards Bulgaria and decide to take it out on them. This can lead to lasting psychological and physical traumas from which they may never recover. Another group discriminated on the basis of ethnicity are the Roma people. As citizens of Bulgaria, they ought to have all rights recorded in the constitution. Unfortunately, in many cases, because of prejudice, they are denied access to work, housing, good education, and even healthcare, as they are believed to be good-for-nothing liars and robbers. This deprivation of normal human rights is surreal and puts the Roma people in an endless cycle of poverty and insecurity. Sometimes there are projects for financial help of minorities that favor Roma people as participants. This is the so-called positive discrimination, by the way. It represents a form of discrimination that favors someone by treating them differently in a good way because of their belonging to a certain group of people. Yeah, so such projects, unfortunately, are a rare occurrence, and don't really help them. The Pomaks are another very interesting example of discrimination in Bulgaria. They are a unique ethno-religious group that lives mainly in the south parts of Bulgaria. They have been systematically discriminated for a few centuries now. At first, they were Bulgarian Christians, but when the Ottoman Empire conquered Bulgaria, they adopted the Muslim religion due to various reasons, including the threat of great torment and death, by the way. From this point forward, they were stigmatized and denounced as traitors to the Bulgarian community. During the communist regime, special laws were passed for their discrimination. They had to give up on their new religion, as no religion was actually tolerated at the time, and to change their names with Arabs and Turkish roots into Bulgarian ones, which really took away part of their identity as individuals. To this day, they are still discriminated and considered inferior to the real Bulgarians, so to speak, just because of their religion, which doesn't define them in any way. Because of this, they live mainly in South Bulgaria, in a closed society segregated from the rest of the country. This social isolation has terrible impact on the minority members' self-esteem and sense of belonging to the society. The last minority I want to talk about is the LGBT community in Bulgaria. Its members are discriminated on the basis of their sexual orientation. Just like the Pomaks during the communist regime, the discrimination of homosexual people has left a trace in the constitution. Bulgaria is one of the few countries in Europe in which the rights of homosexual and transgender people are not recognized and same-sex marriage is actually illegal. This only proves to show the reluctance of the Bulgarian society to accept that some of its members have different needs and understandings. This explains why so many members of the LGBT community are subjected to extreme physical and mental abuse from an early age. Because of this, these people feel rejected by the community, as they are, and spend a lifetime trying to find their place, which naturally leaves them with deep psychological traumas. In conclusion, I just want to say that discrimination has many different forms and prerequisites in the Bulgarian community. It is definitely wrong as citizens and the laws violate normal human rights on irrelevant grounds because of prejudice towards a certain group they belong to. A massive change in the worldview of the Bulgarian community is needed in order for this injustice to be corrected. And there are already some indicators for such a change, but only time can tell if it is even possible.